It was supposed to be just another afternoon, another walk home from school. But for 18-year-old Maya Williams, that day would turn out to be anything but ordinary. Maya had just received a letter that she'd been waiting for her entire life. A full scholarship to Howard University. Her family was over the moon, and so was she. She was holding her head high, filled with that mix of pride and nervous excitement that comes with the knowledge that her future was finally within reach. But little did she know, the very moment she stepped out of her school gates, everything would come crashing down. Maya was used to walking home by herself, her headphones plugged in, lost in her thoughts, dreaming of her first day at college, maybe even her first day working for the government. She had been selected for a government internship with the CIA, something that seemed impossible just a few months ago. The idea that she was about to be part of something bigger than herself, something that mattered, was enough to make the weight of her backpack feel lighter. But that weight would soon turn into something far heavier. She was crossing the street when she heard the sharp, commanding voice behind her. "Hey, stop right there." Her heart skipped. She froze, instinctively lifting her hands, palms out. She didn't know why, but it felt like the right thing to do. Turning around slowly, she saw two police officers approaching her. One was a seasoned officer, his face flushed red like he'd spent too many years chasing down trouble. The other was younger, maybe in his 20s, with a look that said he was ready for a fight. "Officer Brooks and Officer Carter. I need you to step over here," Officer Carter said, his voice gruff. "We need to talk to you." Maya felt a knot twist in her stomach. "I'm just heading home," she said, trying to keep her voice calm, though it cracked just a little. "I live a few blocks away." "You fit the description," Officer Brooks shot back, his voice sharp. Maya was confused. Description? To him, just walking home. But the words didn't seem to matter. They were already moving toward her, like predators closing in on prey. Before she knew it, her wrist was grabbed so roughly she almost stumbled, her feet losing their rhythm. "Hey, what's going on?" she demanded, feeling the cold pressure of the handcuffs biting into her skin. "Don't resist," Officer Brooks growled, yanking her arm behind her. "I'm not resisting. I'm just trying to understand what's happening." Maya's voice wavered as she tried to make sense of the situation, but the words seemed to be falling on deaf ears. She was pushed into the back of the squad car, the metal door slamming shut with a resounding thud that echoed in her chest. There was no explanation, no reason why they were taking her. Just cold silence and the steady hum of the engine. When they arrived at the station, the confusion deepened. She was shoved into a holding cell, the door clanging shut behind her with a finality that made her feel small and powerless. The room smelled like bleach, like nothing had ever been cleaned. The walls were barren, the fluorescent lights flickering above her head. She sat there, hands cuffed, trying to make sense of everything. Maya had never been in trouble a day in her life. She had never even been arrested before. All she could think about was her mother, her future. What was happening? How had things gone so wrong? She was left alone in that cold, silent room for what felt like an eternity. She couldn't even keep track of time anymore, her mind spiraling as she tried to hold on to the calm she had promised herself. It wasn't until hours later that the door opened again. "Stand up," Officer Brooks ordered. Maya pushed herself to her feet, her body aching from the long hours of sitting. He grabbed her by the elbow and led her down a narrow, poorly lit hallway. Each step felt heavier than the last, the walls seeming to close in on her with every movement. They stopped at a small interrogation room, the air thick with the smell of stale coffee and regret. Officer Carter was already sitting there, his legs crossed, his hands folded in front of him. He didn't even look up when she entered. Maya obeyed, but the seat felt too small, too hard. Her nerves were raw, her throat dry. She could barely focus on the words that were coming out of their mouths. "Do you know why you're here?" Officer Brooks asked, his eyes cold. Maya shook her head. "No, I don't know what's happening. I didn't do anything." "You match the description of someone who robbed a store," Officer Carter said, barely looking up. "Witnesses say you were near the scene." "I wasn't." Maya's voice cracked as she leaned forward, hands still cuffed. "I was at school. I have teachers, classmates, someone can vouch for me. I was at school all day." But the officers didn't care. They didn't want to listen. They just kept pushing. "Witness says you were seen running from the scene. You even had a fake ID on you. What do you have to say about that?" The word stung. "It's not fake. It's my CIA internship badge." The officers exchanged a look, a mocking grin spreading across Officer Carter's face. A high schooler working for the CIA? Nice try. Maya's throat tightened. She could feel the weight of the injustice pressing down on her chest. It's real, she whispered, but they didn't believe her. They didn't even care. Enough talk, Officer Brooks said, sneering. We'll check it out down at the station. But Maya knew what that meant. It meant they didn't believe her. It meant they were going to make her pay for something she didn't do. The interrogation dragged on for hours, each question more absurd than the last. The witnesses were unreliable, the EVY Denke non-existent. But still, they insisted she was guilty, and no one seemed to care that she was innocent. But then, just when it seemed like things couldn't get any worse, the door swung open again, and a new face entered the room. It was Detective Harris, a woman with sharp eyes and a no-nonsense attitude. She walked straight up to Maya, offering a reassuring smile, her hand reaching out to undo the cuffs. You're coming with me, Harris said, leading her out of the interrogation room. As the handcuffs came off, Maya felt a surge of relief. But she also knew this wasn't over. It wasn't over by a long shot. Her mother, Dana, had already called the family lawyer, Mr. Carter. He was there when Maya was processed, her mugshot taken, her fingerprints recorded. It felt like everything she had worked for, everything she had fought for, was slipping away. But it wasn't. Not yet. At the courthouse, her lawyer fought for her. He presented alibis from her classmates, her teachers, and even the bus driver. He proved that Maya was innocent. And then, the key moment, the CIA confirmed her internship. Her badge wasn't fake. It was real. The courtroom was silent as the judge called for the charges to be dropped. It was a VY Tory, but it didn't feel like one. Not completely. There was a bittersweet sting to it all. Maya had won, but it came at a cost. She walked out of the courthouse, her head held high, her mother at her side, her lawyer behind her. The world was different now. She had changed. But it wasn't over. Later, it came to light that the officers had been involved in multiple instances of misconduct. Maya's lawyer, Mr. Carter, filed a CIVYL rights lawsuit against them, and the city was forced to settle. Not only that, but the officers involved were put under investigation, and the system that allowed them to operate unchecked was shaken to its core. It wasn't easy. It wasn't quick. But it was justice. Maya had fought for it, and she had won. But even as the dust settled, she knew the fight wasn't over. She would continue to fight. For herself. For her future. For everyone who didn't have a voice. And so, Maya began her first semester at Howard University, not just as a student, but as a symbol of resilience. She had fought against the system and come out victorious. She had learned that sometimes, the fight is long, but it's always worth it. As Maya walked across campus on her first day, the sunlight glinting off the historic brick buildings, she felt a surge of hope. She had made it. She had done it. And she was just getting started. What do you think? Have you ever faced an unjust situation like Maya? Share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. Do you believe in justice, even when the system seems stacked against you? Let's keep the conversation going.